program there? So he's pretty high function set up.
And you see the bell right over there.
If space goes down.
Hey, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. How about we do our Sergeant at Arms report after our invocation? So Walt's going to do our invocation.
Yes, I am. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come here together, serve some fellowship, and be with fellow Rotarians. Thank you for the beautiful sunrise, the renewal that we experienced in spring, and the renewal of our souls, made possible by your Son, Jesus Christ. Please bless this food and nourishment of our bodies and hands that made it. Please let me pray, amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
the things we think, say, and do.
If it is the truth, if it is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
It's so great to see all these faces. Everybody saw the CDC has released an announcement. I think we probably, with this number, fit into the small group setting. And their announcement was basically, if everybody's been vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. So I just was curious for how we organize our meetings. How many people by show of hands have been vaccinated? Yeah. So we got some work to do, I guess, before we're by the book.
Trying to get one.
Kim, you want to give our Sergeant at Arms report?
You guys want us to come up here?
It's fine. The group's small enough.
We're good.
Okay, good morning, Rotarians and guests. Today we have 18 members present at the Alps, and then we have our array of Rotarians on Zoom. We have Gigi, you have a guest this morning?
Yes, I do. My guest is my friend John Bridges. He's been kind enough to, I'm not able to drive yet, so he's my Uber driver, so I'm driving him.
Lucky John.
Welcome, John. And then we're blessed to have Charlotte Davis with us, the president of the Sunset Club is here. Charlotte, you want to give a wave? And then our guest speaker will be introduced shortly.
Thank you, Kim. The attendance here combined is 34 people. So it's about how we get 35 to 40 in our in-person meetings. Is Rick here? There he is. Easy to find, Rick. Birthdays and anniversaries.
We have a couple of birthdays to celebrate today and some club anniversaries and wedding anniversary. Is Christy with us this week? Here, there. Nope. All right. Well, Christy has a wedding anniversary day before yesterday. And let's see, we have two club anniversaries. Tom Sears, 29 years, almost here from the very beginning. This year in May, we're going to have a bunch of folks that are going to hit 30 years as we celebrate the club's 30th anniversary. And Mark Reynolds did. Mark. Well, he's out celebrating there his club anniversary of 13th. Mark had 18 years in the club. Nice kind of service there. And Mike Slade. Same. Okay, so far I'm batting 1,000. Mike had a birthday yesterday. Almost got to sing happy birthday to somebody. And one of our Sunset Club members, Mike Tommy, had a birthday coming up Saturday. So you guys see Mike, that's a happy birthday to him. And by the way, if you would like your significant other remembered in our birthday greetings that we have every week, please let me know. I have several of them, but I haven't heard from everyone, and I don't want to miss out on anybody that would like to have their significant other mentioned. So please drop me an email if you would like to have your birthday are included in that. That is it for today, Mr. President.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir.
So for general club announcements, the only announcement I have is the bylaw amendment was sent out to everybody. It was edited by me, so there may be mistakes. It was reviewed by our board, so there still may be mistakes. So if anybody sees any mistakes, please let me know and we'll get that corrected. According to our bylaws, the club must vote on it and we must have a quorum, which is a third of the group, to vote on it. So if we don't get to that next week, then we'll wait until we do. But the plan is to vote on that amendment by the club and then it'll become official. So please review those and let me know if there's anything incorrect. Next, I'm going to call on Gigi. We have some exciting announcements.
Yes, we do. Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder that the deadline to sign up for the district conference is tomorrow. So if you guys want to participate, then we're going to Asheville this year. Beautiful ballpark here. It's going to be a lot of fun. There are lots of activity planned. You should have received several emails with the link how to register. And of course, you can list of all the activities. If you have any questions, please give me a call or send me an email or text. And I can certainly answer that. But I encourage all of you to come and join us. There are 6 of us going so far. It's going to be a fun group, so come and join us April 16 to 18 in Asheville at the ballpark here. An upcoming event, there's the golf tournament coming up. You should have received an email from John Spillman with the detail of the golf tournament. I do have copies for you, so anyone who usually participates in the golf tournament, I'm not a golfer, so Walt, are you one person who usually participates?
Field's going to take place on Thursday, so
Okay.
I will not be participating.
You will never, okay. So if anyone is interested in participating in the golf tournament, please give me a call. I have all the information. We would love to have a team from the club participate. So we're planning to do that, and we're hoping that you can have a time with that. And there are several dates. Again, I can communicate that, but if you look for an email from John Spillman, it will have all the detail of the event. So that's all I have this morning.
Thank you. So the district conference, they've expanded it to 200 people, which means once we got to a certain number of participants, they opened up more space to allow us to have even more. So I'm assuming if we get to enough people, they will expand it again. I just think they wanted to only reserve a certain amount of space because you have to put deposits, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're interested in going, I'm fairly certain the Omni will have, Grove Park will have really good accommodations. They'll be safe. They'll accommodate as well. It's a beautiful place. And we have a group that's going to meet for dinner. So if you do sign up, please let Gigi know so she can alter that reservation. We'll have a dinner. I guess it's Friday night.
Friday night.
And as far as the district conference golf tournament, the district golf tournament, it is not a team event anymore, is it? Is anybody aware of that? I wasn't clear, and I'm going to ask at our president's meeting tomorrow, but I think it's an individual event now, right? So this year, I don't think they're doing a team conference, a team tournament. It's going to be an individual tournament. It's like 3 out of 4 golf events, and whoever has the most points wins a jacket. So you get individual bragging rights. I would assume it's handicapped, right? So, everybody lean on Walt, maybe our club can win.
Ignore that. They're his own world.
Next, I'm going to call on Judy. She has some exciting announcements about youth services.
Good morning, yes, it's very exciting news. We have chosen a winner scholarship, and I'm not to say the name yet until all documents are signed, but she is a student from Page High School. And we worked hard. Tuesday night, we interviewed all 5 live, and there was a unanimous decision on the winner list. It was awesome. God was so excited to meet her and Judy at changing their heart.
Yeah, so we had some really good applicants. it was not difficult to say we got a qualified applicant, right? But this one really stuck out to all of us. Her confidence, her emotional IQ, her academic record. She's just a great candidate. We do have a legal document that she needs to sign saying she'll agree to the terms of our scholarship. That's why we're not announcing her, because if for some reason it doesn't pan out, we'll move to the next person, right? During the interview, we had somebody get disqualified. So we had 5, and she announced to us during the interview that she had received a full ride to A&T, and that was her school of choice. So that's room and board, tuition, even a travel scholarship. So we were like, okay, well, I guess you're not going to get it, even though she was an excellent candidate. So that shows we were screening these people. We had some good people in the process.
Since then, she's got another full ride.
Yes, she's gotten a second full scholarship. So midway through, she was my #1 choice. So she was kind enough to let us know during the interview that she had received some information that she may be getting it. She received it that night and called us after she left. So we're like, okay, now we have 4 to pick from. Okay, next I'm going to call on Matthew Foster. He has some announcements about our next service project.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I have spoken with management at Camp Carefree, and I know a lot of people in here. I can't say that I've been in this club longer, but when my wife was in this club at Camp Carefree, there was a gazebo built on the lake, or I should say pond out there. And now it's come time for that gazebo to have some maintenance done to it. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'll find out on Saturday when I go look at it. But I know that that particular item was a large project for this club to have done, and I know that we need to take care of it and put it back in the way it needs to be. I'll have more details on that after seeing it and the date picked out. And I've been so gracious to have emails forwarded to me from several parties about Victory Junction Camp, that we're going to start that too. I have no information on that whatsoever, but look for it coming, I don't know, I guess probably a month from now or so. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. So Matthew's volunteered to do the legwork for our club to get us ready to do those service projects. He obviously can't do it by himself, so, and that's 2 projects before summer. Camp starts in summertime and they need to be done before then. I said, well, could we push one out to the fall? He's like, it really doesn't help for summer camp, right? So everybody needs to kind of put on their tool belt and come out and help Matthew to get these things done. So I don't see Tom here. I was going to see if you had any announcements on our fundraiser. Tom is in a bit of a tight spot figuring out what we're going to do with what's going to be allowed. So we did talk about it at our board meeting. He's trying to figure out some options to hold our fundraiser and still be a Kentucky Derby party where we watch the Derby and we're able to socialize. So I'm not 100% sure what the final solution is. Tom will give us some more information, I'm assuming, over the next few weeks. We may have to postpone it. The Kentucky Derby is May 1st, right? So that's 7 weeks away. So right now our fundraiser, like the whole year, is completely up in the air. I would assume that was his announcement. So I'm going to do it for him. And that's all I have. Is there any other announcements from the floor? All right. Bobby, you want to do our happy dollars?
Matthew, if we go out there, I got a little side project at Camp Carefree. Anybody remember Mid-Middle?
Oh, yeah.
Mid-Bid, the bulldozer. I had a brand new hammer. We went out there and we were tearing up that dock. And when Mid picked up my brand new hammer, I thought, this is probably the last time I'm going to see it. Sure enough, we're pulling up nails. There's a hammer in that lake. Wants to go find my hammer. Who we got? Chip? Hey, want the big money?
Yeah, first off, I ran into Matthew and Marley at Jolo Winery Sunday afternoon. That was a fun thing. Great place to go, have fun. The rest of that is for Lisa and Guy and whoever else helped us find the Elks. And to the Elks people, which they've all gone in hiding. But you know, 80% of life is showing up, and they've showed up for us. It may not be the O. Henry, but they've shown up, and that's all the difference in the world. Thank you guys for finding us. Cheers.
Sure.
there's some more.
We're expecting.
I have one.
Guy,
I don't think you're gonna get a chance.
that's right, you gave us 20
All
last
right,
week.
so my son recently joined a fraternity, he's at UNC Charlotte, and he's kind of a junior. He went to early college rap, and his first year as a junior already. So he was lucky enough to find a job. One of his fraternity brothers helped to get him a job at the Charlotte Country Club, which I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it's a really nice place. So he went, and he came back, and he gave it a complete lowdown on how nice the place it is. So I would assume he'll be getting some nice tips as a golf attendant.
Right. Coming up the stairs this morning out here into the Elks Club, brought back some memories, a lot of memories. We used to have the JC's Club, JC's meetings here. And about 34 years ago, I remember walking up those steps with a few other guys, and one of the guys says, "Hey, there's a girl that's going to be here tonight that I went to high school with. Her name's Susan O." And I was like, okay. And in this room, this was all opened up. I caught this girl's eye across the way, or she caught my eye, and then I married her.
Bet you wasn't drinking, right?
$1, is that right?
Wow, Ron.
Does that count for my anniversary?
Wow.
Hey, not to put me down, but I'm just happy to be here, happy to have everybody back together again, and gosh, I think this is a great place. They give us a great breakfast, and it's just good to be here. So I'm happy $5 worth there.
Sun's coming in.
I'm telling you, it's been a far better day.
Guy, you know, Tommy's not here, but there's a good idea for the fundraiser. Remember Bobby Dunn, one of our founding members?
Absolutely.
He wanted to rent a bus and charge admission to go to the Harper's Car Wash on that.
The car salesman.
$50. David, can we edit that out?
Yeah.
You better.
Spring's here, so no more shoes till December.
Well, I'm happy to be here, but so happy my son was able to play out last night. He played jazz with his jazz quartet at the Double Oaks Inn on Mendenhall Street.
Oh, wow.
And he was beyond elated to get out and actually meet friends and be doing something that's playing music.
Okay.
Well, this is a repeat probably because every year it happens about the same time. COVID's now over and Grandpappy felt comfortable to go out, so he took Grandmammy for her annual physical. Like always, he sits down in the weight room and she goes back, and she's back there for a while with the doctor, and then she sticks her head out the corner and she says, "Honey, the doctor wants to know if we have intercourse." And Grandpappy said, "For the 1000th time, I got to tell you, we're on Medicare now."
Thank you, Bobby. Lisa's going to announce our speaker today, Zach.
Good morning. Good morning to all the Zoomers out there. It is my pleasure to introduce Zach Matheny. I call him Mr. Greensboro, but Zach is the president of Downtown Greensboro, Inc. And he's here to share with us about what is going on in downtown Greensboro. And I know Zach looks older than me, but my granddaughter and his daughter Lily Grace are in school together at Canterbury. So we have lots of connections. Welcome.
Thank you. I don't know if I want to follow Bobby. I'll tell you, I told Lisa and Guy, first of all, y'all meet way too early for me. And I got 2 young kids. But there are a few groups that I'll do this for, getting up and changing my schedule, because I am an only parent. And I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old boy. But I always enjoy coming and talking to y'all. And then when Lisa was like, by the way, it's in person, I'm like, oh crap. I hadn't done this in a year. Like, so forgive me if I mess up. So I am Zach Matheny, President and CEO of Downtown Greensboro Incorporated. And I think Kelly Harold's listening, and Charlotte, don't tell anybody else in the group, but this is my favorite group. Yeah, edit that out too. But I do have a lot of friends here. Chip, I hadn't seen you in a while, and it's good to see faces. Matthew's my neighbor. I got a service project in my front yard if you want to help me out with. And it is good to be here. I'll tell you a little bit about Downtown Greensboro, how we pivoted, what we're doing, what's happening. I'll probably go off script because I don't have one. And then Q&A, and I'm an open book. How am I, right or left?
Left now.
We forgot our clicker.
Hang on.
We're improvising.
I'll work for you. You just look at me. I'll do that.
That's a beautiful picture of downtown Greensboro. Our organization is a nonprofit, sister kind of organization, quasi-governmental with the city of Greensboro to provide basically the economic development, social development of the center city. This is a small slide of how our budget's made up. And essentially how we're made up is we've got about a $1.6 million budget. 40% of that budget comes from a self-imposed tax, meaning folks downtown want to pay more tax to do above and beyond services for the city. It makes up about $750,000. The actual money we get from the city varies. Last year, I begged, borrowed, and pleaded, and we got $75,000 grant to do economic development for downtown Greensboro. The year before that, it was 25. The year before that, it was 50. So when I say I beg, borrow, and plead to build their tax base, literally, that's what we get from the city. Other than that, on the 1.5 million, the other 800,000, I've got to go fundraise. So we'll talk about that a little bit because I got a few ideas for y'all. 2021, our areas of focus, like what do we want to do? What are our goals? And they don't change a whole lot. One is we've got to implement a strategic action plan. You probably, hopefully hear over the next 5 years, me talk about a Vision 2030 plan. We've got things, we paid a consultant, we went out to the community. We've got about 8 strategies we want to implement. One, I'll show you in a little bit, is a container hub for entrepreneurs. But what are we going to do? What's our game plan the next 10 years? Public-private partnerships. This is one, I gave a speech probably 2 years ago, and a fellow named Tom Taylor, who's with Taylor Appraisals, looked at me and said, you talking about the same stuff. How about getting some stuff over the finish line? And I'm like, well, damn, you're calling me out, like in front of people. But that's a good point. Greensboro, we talk about being really good at public-private partnerships, but do we ever get it done? And that's one that, stuck to me talking to a group like this. We've got some public-private partnerships. It's not sexy, but we got a parking deck built at the ballpark. Mr. Carroll's going to wrap that with about a $140 million project. We got another parking deck that has taken us probably 8 years to get started, and it hadn't started yet. It's supposed to start at the end of the month. Perfect timing for COVID, but it's really for Lincoln Financial, a parking deck that's going to have a Westin Hotel on top of it. Getting things across the finish line. Recruit 400 new jobs. This was one I did last year. And I thought, okay, that's bold for downtown Greensboro because we're not technically thought of previously as an economic development generator. Well, we retained Fresh Market and they moved from Green Valley to downtown. That's 350 jobs. We recruited Centric Brands. That's another 250 jobs. Through COVID, folks are adding jobs. So I had a meeting last week with Scott Baxter, the chairman and CEO of Contour Brands. Wranglers, I got Wranglers on my booty. And Lee, Rocky Republic, they've added 100 jobs through COVID. Cone Health has added numerous jobs through. And UNCG had a meeting with Frank Gillian, they've added. And so working with those organizations to add jobs
high-paying jobs to downtown. Residential growth, we have less than 1% of our population lives downtown. That's terrible, terrible. Everybody else is surpassing us. Winston-Salem has Grubb Properties. Clay Grubb is building almost 1,000 units downtown. We've had Roy Carroll build 300, and that's it. We got to really incentivize downtown. And I will tell you, we're talking to an organization that does what I would call mature, somewhat senior living, that will do this year, if we can get it across the finish line, probably about a $60 million senior living residential project downtown. Phenomenal. That would be a game changer for downtown. So how can we continue to build that residential growth? Marketing downtown in the Triad. Honestly, I don't toot my own horn a whole lot. Well, maybe I do. You got to. Greensboro doesn't very much. How many organizations do you feel are actually marketing our city? We've got a major contract with WGHP, and the reason I chose WGHP is because they're central. They're not FNY, which is synonymous for Greensboro. They're not XII, which is synonymous for Forsyth County. GHP gets all of them. We're also doing other marketing materials that hopefully you'll see. And when we market downtown Greensboro, we're also marketing the Triad. So we're actually doing things and putting money towards it. Our marketing budget of that 1.5, 1.6 is probably right around $175,000 a year. Highest and best land use. This is something I fight often with the city of Greensboro. We are a spread out city. And I'll take some fault to that because I did serve on council for 7.5 years. And I did make some decisions that probably I look back and I'm like, it would have been better if we would have built that downtown. Case in point, most of our headquartered businesses are Corvo, which used to be RF Micro, out near the airport. Why didn't we do that downtown? Market America, Corvo, Lorillard, which is now ITG Brands. This is in a nondescript building on Green Valley. You know, if we would have had those companies build downtown, what would Greensboro look like today? United Healthcare. Do y'all know where their office is? I drive by it when I take Lily Grace to school, but it's in a Lake Jeanette. It's nothing. They got 2,000 people over there. What if 2,000 people work downtown? What would our city look like today? Highest and best use of land, higher ed and young professionals. We talk about young professionals, and I'll tell you, there's a marketing group, and it's 5, that they're targeting 15 people to move back to Greensboro. 15 people. That's our effort. We have a city of 300,000 people, and we're focused on 15. We got to go bigger, folks. We got to think bigger. How can we recruit these? We don't like wait for the college students to come to downtown. We go to the college students. I meet often, as I mentioned, with Frank Gilliam. Frank is a great chancellor for UNCG. Harold Martin's a great chancellor for A&T. You know, we've got other colleges and universities. We've got 45,000 plus college students. We are a college town. Carolina must have won, otherwise you wouldn't have won. we had a good night last night. I mean, I went to NC State. I ain't wearing red today. But we are a college town. We don't act like it. Placemaking. How do we make our city cooler? And I'll be honest with you, I'm muraled out. We got enough murals. I don't know how the hell we're going to take care of these murals once the paint starts peeling. I'm ready to figure out how to make it cooler. I've got a great friend, Knox White, who's the mayor of Greenville, South Carolina. And you walk down Main Street in Greenville, South Carolina, Knox would tell you he wants you to be stimulated 3 times per block with public art. It doesn't have to be massive public art. You're not going to see a whole lot of murals in Greenville, South Carolina. There's one that had my daughter. This is the perfect example. Lauren, my wife, and I we took our kids to Greenville because I wanted them to see and feel it. And my daughter came across this little mouse, little bronze mouse. I used to read a book to them called Goodnight Moon. That mouse was from Goodnight Moon. And I'm like, that's on purpose. Somebody did that. I walked a little bit. My daughter, who's 8 now, was probably 2.5 at the time. And she found another mouse. Lo and behold, you go to the Mass General Store, which Knox, the mayor of Greenville, who's been there probably 24 years, when he first became mayor, gave Mass General the keys to that building. It was a city-owned building. He said, if you'll put a store here, we'll give you the building. He gave him the building. Downtown's booming. Mass, you go in there and say, what's up with these mice? They have a scavenger hunt. They give you a map, and there's 16 mice. And at the end, it's got the book, Goodnight Moon. That's art. And it's random. It gets people walking downtown. And that came from a kid that went to Knox and said, I got an idea. This is a Boy Scout project. I need the money. I want to bronze these mice. I want to put this book up. And Knox looked at him and said, well, how much is it? He said, $1,800. It's a great piece of art. It's been there 20 years. You know how much I spent on one of our murals last year? $10,000. We're changing how we placemake our city. These are a bunch of projects. Cascade Saloon. This is I hadn't done this in a year in person, so forgive me for some of my old slides. Cascade Saloon is now Chrisman. We saved that building. I went in when I was on council. I went into a work session meeting. The city attorney at the time came up to me and said, I know you want to save this building, but I'm going to recommend the city council that we're going to tear it down. Well, that building is now the headquarters of Chrisman, and it's lasted a lot longer than that city attorney did. The Gateway building is where we recruited Centric Brands. It's a historic building. Betty Cohen used to own it. Andy Zimmerman bought it. We've got an entrepreneurial hub going in there. Tanger Center. What's today, the 11th? Is it the 11th?
Yeah.
Almost a year ago, 364 days ago, I was having a party, free party, March 12th last year. All you can eat hot dogs and hamburgers. We had a bar. We had free beer. You could pay for other stuff. I rented this beautiful bathroom facility, not porta johns. I mean, I was all in for the ACC. And at 12:02, the world stopped. 4 days later, we were supposed to cut the ribbon on the Tanger Center. I will tell you, I've been in it numerous times. It's a beautiful facility. To Guy's point, get your vaccines. I'm going Sunday. Get them. Get them, if not for yourself, get them for the people that you're going to sit in the room with. Just get the damn shot. Let's get this world back open. I can't wait for the Tanger Center, and I can't wait for y'all to experience it. Carol Bellmead, I'll show you a slide on that in a little bit. Project Slugger, we changed the skyline. If you haven't been downtown, we changed the skyline. It's pretty cool to see a new building that's almost full downtown. By the way, it's a $25 million tax base generator. And the West End, hopefully, will get started at the end of the month. If it doesn't, I might have a heart attack. Go ahead. That's Project Slugger. That's Carol. That's the rooftop bar. We need more rooftops. We opened a 113 brew house last night, which used to be Green Street Bar. We've signed 8 new leases downtown in the middle of a pandemic, 4 of which are restaurants. And we opened a bar last night in the middle of a pandemic. There are very few cities that have the activity that downtown Greensboro does for the size city that we have. So this is my slide, especially for Guilford County Commissioners, because they just gave or committed $7 million. They almost committed it for a project that already happened in High Point, but it doesn't pay taxes. Does it make financial sense? And I know how that's spelled. Purpose. Just the apartments, not the Hyatt Place. Just the apartments at Carol Bellmead. And January 18 was 3.6 million tax base. January 20, $35 million in tax base. So the city and the county went from 26,000 to 260,000. When they say if you invest downtown that the city, the municipalities get a 10x return, it's legit. The numbers don't lie. So when we do infill investment and you do incentivize it, it makes sense. The Greenway, we got to complete this thing. It's almost done. We finally got the land for Norfolk Southern. If any of y'all work for the railroad, I want your card. I want to talk to you because y'all are terrible to do business with. Comprehensive streetscape. I lobbied in 2016 to get $25 million in a bond for the streetscape downtown. You know, because when I took my family to Greenville, I like seeing other people's reaction. I know what I see, but I want to see the world through a child's eyes. And I found that public art, those mice. I wanted to see it through my wife's eyes. And the streets were attractive. So Green Street, which is one way for 3 blocks that made absolutely no sense whatsoever, is going to start construction to go 2 ways this year. Bellmead from the ballpark to the Tanger Center will start construction this year. Davie Street should start construction this year. We're bringing in Summit to LaBauer Park currently right now, and then we got to figure out what's next. Elm Street is in design, so hopefully we'll get that design done this year, which that's going to be a disaster because most of the businesses are on Elm Street, so we got to tiptoe and figure that out together. Placemaking. Taking blighted, terrible properties and doing something with them. This alley, which is to the right is the Biltmore, to the left is where I have Wrangler Lee for the time being. This alley, nobody could figure it out. I got a bunch of knucklehead property owners that y'all know that own property on this alley. They fight tooth and nail on who has ownership in the alley. And the city was always like, y'all own the alley. We don't own the alley. So what do we do? We made it Rainbow Alley and dressed it up. And we've got kids, families taking pictures in this location. Like beautifying our community, beautifying our city. That's the Sure Houses if you go to First Baptist Church on the left. In the middle, I don't know what they were doing. I mean, and then I think the one on the right was taking her photo shoot. So for her class picture. So taking a blighted area and dressing it up. That's the $10,000 mural that says "Welcome to Greensboro." If you see Nashville, Tennessee, everybody takes their selfie in front of this thing. That's our thing.
That's our national.
Go down and take your selfie and post it. Working with UNCG students, there's a professor over there I work with on urban planning. And again, what we're trying to do is figure out how to bring those students from campus to downtown. So I went to campus to try to get them downtown. So they came downtown and they did this Activate Downtown and they created this program. And at the bottom, at the top, it says, we want a bowling alley. So kids today don't like to talk to each other. If y'all that have kids, they'll sit at the same table and text message each other. Where you and I might have gone to a bar or a restaurant and had a beer together and actually had a conversation. They don't do that. They want to do something when they're having their beer. So they said, we want a bowling alley. And a great example is Boxcar, which is the arcade downtown. So they wanted a bowling alley. They gave an example of Stone Pit in Greenville, South Carolina. So the guy that owns Stone Pit in Greenville, South Carolina is from Greensboro. So I went to him and I said, we need a bowling alley. Next. So do y'all remember this old building? It used to have washers and dryers outside of it. That's right across from my office. And so I went to Paul and I said, you got to pay too much for this building, but you got to do it. I mean, this is junk stacked up in there. No heat and air. The kids used to sit out there and just smoke cigarettes all day. It was terrible. Next. That's what it looks like. I took that photo the other day. So he bought that building. There's 6 lanes of bowling in there, restaurant, bar. It's got that's water cascading over on the patio. You will go there by yourself. You will take your kids there. You'll take your coworkers there to have events, and kids from UNCG, A&T, and school will come here to have fun and not talk to each other. And then, you know, some of you may know, I had a pretty tough year last year. Well, I had a pretty tough 3 years. And then you wake up and you've got COVID, and you're like, what do we do now? So I told my team, I said, we got to do something for our restaurants and our retail. How do we pivot? So we created, I said, COVID tests are big. Now it's vaccines. Last year it was COVID tests. We got to do something for the front lines. All right, we got to feed the front lines, and we got to work with our restaurants. Here's the, we'll buy 100 meals a day from a restaurant for $15. We'll give them a 20% tip, so $1,800 a day. That way their staff gets a tip. The restaurants can depend on getting a pretty good $1,500 in a day, and we'll feed 100 meals at the frontline workers for Cone Health. We raised $75,000, and we fed 3,500 meals, and our restaurants were able to survive, and we fed the front lines. Then I'm like, God, that helps the restaurants. What are we going to do for retail? We got to do a retail revitalization grant. So in June, we raised $120,000 and created a retail revitalization grant. And basically, the grant criteria was, if you have oxygen and you have a business downtown, I will give you $1,500 to survive. And that's what we did. We raised the money and just said, here, just use it however you need it. This is some pictures, loading up. Keep going. That pictures. Strategic plan, I mentioned that. These are our big moves. The container hub, south end and lower downtown gateways. We need to dress up our gateways, our major gateways. We've got a city that is not on the highway. Name another city the size of Greensboro that is not on a highway. Can't do it. Wilmington is even beside a highway. Durham, Winston-Salem, we got to work harder in Greensboro to get people to Greensboro. You can drive by, and now with the bypass, which is terrific, you can drive by Greensboro and not know you're driving near Greensboro. So how do we do that? Autonomous shuttle connectors. People talk about trolleys all the time. Nobody rides them. So what can we do to get people moving? And so we're working with North Carolina A&T State University on an autonomous connector to connect A&T to UNCG and surround Greensboro. Multi-use arena. We've got the Tanger Center that seats 3,000. That's specific for performing arts. We've got the Coliseum. Did you go last night? I went yesterday to see my wolf pack get killed. There were 500 people there. It was depressing. But Charlotte did it right. They blew their great Coliseum up near the airport and built it downtown. They blew their ballpark up that was in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and they put it downtown. We don't have the gumption in Greensboro to do that. Matt Brown would shoot me right now. But what can we do to complement the Coliseum? About a 6,000-7,000 seat arena that UNCG, A&T can play at, the Greensboro Swarm can play at. That would be a hub of activity that we could actually compete. Kelly, if he's still listening, on working with convention space. How can we be in the game? Because right now we're in the game with the Corey Center, but we're not in the game because people want to be in that urban environment. So doing a facility like that, plus you've got older acts that want that 6,000-7,000 that aren't ready to go to the 3,000, but can't fill a 25,000. So those are some things we're talking about in the big moves. Container hub. This is we took. I'm not afraid to jump on a plane. Well, I used to be not afraid to jump on a plane, especially when it's Mr. Carroll's and it's private. So we took Scott Baxter, Frank Gilliam, Adrian Smith that owns about 30 McDonald's, Arthur Salmon, and we jumped on a plane and we said, let's go to Austin, Texas. Well, Roy has about $1 billion invested in Austin, Texas. I want to see what people are talking about in Austin, Texas. So container hubs, what we've got right now is entrepreneurs that'll go to Elm Street that can't quite afford Elm Street. So how do we start in smaller locations and let them graduate to Main Street? And so, and it's got a cool vibe. So that's one of the main projects we're going to be working on this year. And that's what, so what you don't know, or so if you think about the depot, it's a beautiful building that's desolate. To the right of it is this empty parking lot that nobody parks at. So taking abandoned space that the city owns and putting entrepreneurs there. So I'm getting quotes on those right now. Ambassador services. How many of you, and I don't want to see your hands, think that downtown's unsafe? I don't want to see any hands. Because guy might punch you. It's not unsafe. I went to Elm Street Grill, Robbie's place up in Elm Episcopal Church with my kids. We left at 8:35. At 8:42, the cook came out and was shot 5 times. You don't hear that, but you do if it happens downtown, but it doesn't happen downtown. But we do have panhandling, that's an issue. We do have homeless, and we have homeless providers that are not doing their job. If you work at a homeless provider, I'm happy to have this discussion with you. And let's walk down Elm Street and look at the people that need help, because they're not getting it. So this ambassador service is a hospitality service to help folks feel safer, to help the folks that need help get help without having to call GPD. I had a homeless service provider, and I've got an email that said, we can't do anything, call the police department. That is not the answer, folks. That does nothing for our community. And it does not get the help that that person needs. You've got to have something that helps get people the help that they need. And for us to feel safe. So I'm working on an ambassador program. Charlotte has it. We call it a hospitality program. And hopefully you'll see that. I'm gonna ask the city to help pay for it. I'm gonna bring half the money. I just want the city to pay the other half. And I guess apparently I'll see you downtown. I'll tell you in finalization, I told Andy Zimmerman I had dinner with last night. Right now, we have at least $150 million of new development that I am working with downtown. $150 million. That's pretty damn good. Greensboro is in a really good place. And I hope you see it, and I do hope to see you downtown.
A minute to take a couple questions.
I don't know what time, I probably talked too much.
No, you did great.
No, you didn't.
Judge?
Couple of questions. First one I asked Sarah at our last Greenway meeting about, I'm talking about some downtown properties. Smith Street Diner.
Yeah.
Anything happening with that? And the other
Does
one.
anybody own that building in
And
here?
the other one is the news and record space.
Okay. The landlord for Smith Street Diner, when COVID hit, Beth, who owns Smith Street Diner for 15 years, went to him and said, can I get a rent break? And the landlord said no. So he's not a nice person. So if y'all own that building, that's you. Guy's gonna punch you in the face. No, because it wasn't nice. Like, come on, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Help her out. And she just said, I'm done. I'm done. So unfortunately, we have some bad owners. We got about 5 of them downtown. The news and record site, it's been under contract. The money, and Robert knows his term. I mean, the money went hard. So he had a down payment for those of y'all in real estate. And Jim Melvin would say he's more than pregnant. But nothing's happened. I have plenty of people that can bite that off and square it up. Nothing's happening right now. But I've got another 10-acre site in downtown. So that's 10 acres. I got another one that is happening because the owners will do it. Hold on.
I was just curious that trying to picture.
No, never mind. You went to
a 6,000 person, building for basketball or multi-use. Where would that fit downtown? I can't picture where there's enough land.
News and record site.
Is that?
That's one.
Okay.
That's not my ideal site, but the News and Record site is a good example. I'm not gonna say no.
Well, well, Roy Carroll I've always heard him say, he wanted to build the tallest office building between Raleigh and Sharp.
Right.
Is that still
So.
part of his aspirations?
We've got there's gonna be a transaction that takes place with a major, it's gonna be a really nice, fabulous restaurant. But the owner that's gonna buy the building and put the restaurant in has a company that's a major employer in Greensboro. And so my pitch is, if you're gonna put this restaurant in town, if you're gonna buy this building in downtown, why don't you move your headquarters downtown? And Roy can build that building.
That's right.
So things like that are in play. Well, Lisa,
Do you ever foresee Elm Street closing to traffic?
I get that question a lot. We close it every Saturday evening. Well, we're gonna start closing it again. But the reality is, you don't want to close a street. And a great example is Fable Street Mall in Raleigh. Fable Street Mall was closed for 20 years, and they opened it up, and the businesses thrive when there's traffic. That's why, and Raleigh got a national award for opening Fable Street Mall up. Now, I'll close it down because we've got all this outside dining downtown we created. And if I'm sitting at White Wood having dinner, I don't want a motorcycle coming. It's no offense to anybody who rides motorcycles, but I don't want the revving engine while I'm eating a piece of fish or the music. So we'll close it down in some cases, but not in perpetuity.
All right, thank you, Zach. Great job, man. So just to let y'all know, I'll sweeten the pot on the raffle to kick it off. So if I win, we've got 52 cards. If I win, I'm gonna roll it back in to the donation to the club, right? It won't be in the raffle anymore, but you guys start buying some raffle tickets so we can get this moving.
By the way, Lisa reminded me of something that I kind of forget. I just announced that I am running in District 3 for City Council, and I would love anybody's support. Last three,
Yes.
you did sweep the pot, guys.
Yes.
I got the wrong business. I should have been a dentist. You work Fridays?
Some.
6, 8, 9.
Not many.
Yeah, that's him.
You cheapos are like, I got one ticket. He's got.
You pick the card. Don't pick the Queen of Hearts.
It's a Queen of Hearts.
Is it really?
No, it's 8.
By the way, Andy's supposed to be here next
So
week.
the pot is over $50 now. We'll just put it that way. So
It just
we'll
worked out.
adjourn.
It just worked out, y'all picked your dates.
I literally had dinner with them at
Back to back.